As a Denver Broncos fan, one of my favorite longtime traditions is we are really unique in the fact that we give undrafted free agents a chance not just to make our team, but to make a dent in our team. Like right now, we got Jaleel, McLaughlin, and McMillian making noticeable differences on our team. We have a Jahmyr Gibbs type speedster as a running back in McLaughlin, and we got a starting nickel corner who is just a dominating force out there in McMillian. And if you go back, we had Duke Iheanacho, Wesley Woodyward, Phillip Lindsay, back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons. Famously, we had Chris Harris of the no-fly zone and probably the most a Pro Bowl Hall of Fame receiver in Rod Smith. And so I love that the Denver Broncos give talent a shot to make this team. And while their leash might not be as long as a guy drafted in the first round, if there's talent there, we find a way to put them on our team. And the Broncos went out today and they signed 12 dudes who have a real shot at making this team. I'm going to break down a couple of the ones I'm super excited about. Love to read in the comments. Who is your favorite undrafted free agent ever for the Denver Broncos? And which one of these dudes has you most hyped? So let's look at the 12 guys that we sent out deals for. So you, I don't know if you watched, Twitter posted a clip of one of the later, like 6th or 7th round draftees of the Colts. And the Ballard called and was like, hey, you're coming to the Colts. And the guy's like, is this a prank call? And he's like, no, it's not a prank call. And I know everybody's probably been calling with you to try to negotiate with you. So everyone's draft board is massive. And not all the players who are on your draft board end up getting drafted. And there's probably some guys on there that you hope fall. So the Broncos did a lot of top 30 visits. And a lot of the guys that we brought in for our top 30 visits, we just signed today. Notably, 2 of them from the University of Nebraska's secondary. And so what ends up happening in the 7th round is that you automatically just start calling those guys who haven't been drafted and said, hey, we think you don't only have a chance of making our practice squad. We think here's why you'd be a great fit here. Here's why our offensive line coach would be great for you. Or here's our history we've had with undrafted free agents. And so if you look at the ranking of undrafted free agents, we got several of the top undrafted free agents at those positions. And we're going to take a look through some of those and why I'm super excited about it. So NFL.com has a big thing here about all the the free agents who did not get drafted and where they went. Right off the back, like the number 1 running back is Blake Watson from Memphis. Cool thing about him was he has never fumbled the ball in a college football game, even though he had hundreds of carries in his time. Like that's a pretty crazy thing. And a lot of people are already saying that like, this is going to be a real good shot to be the steal of the draft. We already saw Jaleel McLaughlin step in and like make a difference and get really meaningful carries. The real thing that was limiting him was that he was not able to learn like the pass blocking and truly with his build, that just isn't what he was best at. And so it was a real tell that when he was in, it was not going to be a pass play, and that really limited his growth. But man, early on in the season, you just saw like his burst was unreal. And so I'm excited to see what does this University of Memphis running back look like. I'm a little jaded on this school after Paxton Lynch, but I can't wait to give him a shot. And I think, if you look at his build and kind of the Sean Payton mold for a running back, you just have these like yoked out dudes in. Obviously, we're really excited about Javonte Williams and his like pop and ability to get yards after that first collision was unreal. And I think we got that same thing with Estime, and you see the exact same thing here with Watson at 5'9", 195. Like he is a power running back, and I think that's a real compliment to. We now have Samaje, Javonte, and obviously our new guy we're super stoked at with Audric Estime as our power guys. And then we have our change of pace back in McLaughlin. So I'm very, very excited about that. But let's look at a couple other ones that I'm excited about. I think the first one would be just looking that we picked up 2 secondary members from the University of Nebraska in a safety and a corner, both of whom a lot of people had as dudes who are going to get drafted. The Raiders had a cool article written about how they actually thought that they were going to draft right here. There was an injury with Quentin Newsome towards the end of the season, and he missed a couple games, and then it prolonged his combine and stuff like that. But you look at him and the difference in size that we have here. that we drafted kind of more of a slot corner who's only 5'10", 5'11". And so you have a guy here who really might be able to be, in the depth of like being opposite of Pat Surtain, maybe behind Riley Moss. Maybe he's a practice squad player, but I'm excited about that. Here's the article about his, he'd played there 5 years and had played something like 52 out of his 54 games, or there it is, 51 out of his 53 games all the way back to 2019. And it really was that injury that really delayed him and stopped him from getting drafted, but he's cleared everything. And unlike Riley Moss, it seems as if Riley Moss's development this year, we picked him in the 3rd last year. He was the corner from Iowa who people are very, very high on. And his development was really stunted this year because of an injury in the preseason, and missing that trying to learn a pro-style defense is really difficult if you're missing all the offseason OTAs and then you're also missing the 4 preseason games. So I'm excited to see just what that's going to be like for us this year. And here's the article about how they had both of these guys in for top 30 days in Las Vegas Raiders, and pretty cool that when they're picking where to go, if you're trying to decide like, oh, what team am I going to give a shot at? Oh, I remember Chris Harris that was on all those commercials, won Super Bowls, and like was a legit playmaker for a long time out of Kansas. Oh, he wasn't drafted. I wasn't either. Like, I know this team will give us a shot. So that's pretty exciting. But the guy I'm very, very excited about, and it might just because I started working with an Australian guy at work who's got me watching rugby, is this guy, Thomas Yassmin. I guess it's pronounced Yassmin, and he played for the University of Utah, so that is now the 3rd player out of these past couple days that we have snatched from the Utes right before the Pac-12 gets disbanded. We're just grabbing all of their great talent, and the cool thing about him was that he, born and raised in Australia, hadn't ever really even watched football until he started playing it, but he was recruited to play professional rugby. But obviously the money in the NFL is much higher than the money is in rugby. And so it's America's game. And that's what he's doing. And last year he was looking like just like he was dominating, right? He was playing very, very well, but he only got in 4 games before he had a season-ending injury. Again, he's supposed to be back and at it. And he just looks, 6'5", and when I've watched the highlights of him both playing rugby and then playing football, you're like, oh my goodness, he's wearing 87, so it looks like a Travis Kelce, but you just see that ability to fight through contact, fight through the tackle, very sure-handed, and I'm super, super excited about it. I just watched this little clip here. I remember this game, watching it against our Colorado Buffaloes.
By the same guy.
And just, watching this, we'll let it breathe here for a second. He's talking about everybody was hitting below the legs, and they were talking about like, hey, try to jump over dudes, and so they're audibling here at the line.
Did it, calls one play.
Surprise, there's not as many people in the stands, right? Come on, where is everybody at? But awesome to see Folsom Field. Makes me have Boulder vibes. All right, so here it is. Throws it out to him in the flat. Nice little route for never really playing football before.
And I see the
catch and run, and watch his boom just hurdles a dude, right? Who's just been chopping our guys down at the legs. And, that's like a legit play for a guy who's never played American football before. So he has all the physical tools, 6'5". He's got the speed. He's got the athleticism. He's tough. Rugby players, they're just built different. If you've ever watched an Avengers movie, like those Hemsworth brothers, we just got the 4th Hemsworth brother right here in Denver, and I'm excited. And if that doesn't get you excited, I don't know what's going on in your world. But very excited. I'm very curious what y'all think after you take a look at our 12 guys who we just signed as our top undrafted free agents. Who do you think is going to make the biggest difference? I thought it was really telling that we only signed 1 tight end in this draft, obviously with the guy I just showed you, and I thought for sure coming into this that tight end was going to be something that Sean Payton was going to try to fix and try to get in this. And so when that 12th pick was up, I was like, this has to be Brock Bowers. This has to be Brock Bowers. I'm thrilled to death now that it is Bo Nix. And I'm even more thrilled about that because we didn't try to go out and get a tight end after that anywhere in the draft, which shows me that Sean Payton believes that Greg Dulcich is going to be back. And there was just a video on my Twitter of all of the Russell Wilson to Dulcich connections before he had injuries, and you forget how good he was. And if he can stay healthy, we certainly are in a very, very good position for the Denver Broncos to make the playoffs this year with Bo Nix. I know it's going to happen, and I know y'all are here for it as well. So Broncos country, let's giddy up.